Hi guys, let's discuss current affairs. Today's set of questions start with a question on West Asia. Israel has intensified its assault on Gaza, a self-governing Daesh territory on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Well, the answer, as you would know, is Palestinian territory, that it's a Palestinian territory. So I'm going to spend some time here today, as is the case, like, almost all sessions in the beginning of, I spend about 15 to 20 minutes on a particular issue of great interest, of something that is current, something that's happening around. So this is a topical issue, something that's pretty, burning, and something that's caught the imagination of the world around. So I'm going to discuss Israel-Palestine, not the entire thing, of course, because it's, usually I give a 6-hour talk on Israel-Palestine, but here I'm going to take you to Israel and Palestine, in a nutshell. Okay. So what cannot be said in 6 hours definitely cannot be said in 5 hours, 15 minutes. 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, forget about 3 hours. I'm going to spend only 15 minutes on this. Okay, so it's a pretty long story, but I'll cut it short. So Israel, this is Israel, my friends. As you see, this is Israel, and Israel, I'll give some basic data, then we will discuss this. Okay, the capital, as you can see, is there are the defined legal capital of Israel is Jerusalem, but usually the embassies of most nations in the world focus, are in Tel Aviv. This is typically the administrative center of Israel. Okay, so there are two capitals you could see, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And then, of course, the prime minister. The prime minister, as most of you would know, is Benjamin Netanyahu. In Hebrew language, it's Benjamin Netanyahu, but let's use the English version. The president is a guy called Reuven Rivlin. This is the president of Israel. The president is pretty much like our system, a parliamentary democracy, wherein the head of the government is a prime minister and the head of the state is the president. That's the case with Israel as well. Okay. The currency is new shekel. So this is some basic stuff about this country. Yeah. Now I'm going to talk. Because Palestine is not recognized as a separate country. I'll just take you further on. A little in terms of what Palestine is. Palestine comprises two major chunks of territory. Okay. One is West Bank. The other is called Gaza. Some people call it Gaza Strip. This is Gaza. It's about 365 square kilometers. Pretty small actually, but it's densely populated, thickly populated. While the West Bank, this is the West Bank. Okay, so this is P and this is also P, Palestine. Now this is, both are, in fact, these two strips of land are separated by a large stretch of Israeli territory. Now see, this is West Bank. Why is it called West Bank? You see, this is the Dead Sea. This is the Dead Sea. Dead Sea. Okay. Now there is this river here called Jordan. The river is called Jordan. Jordan, as you also is the name of a country. This is Jordan. This country is Jordan. Now on this river drains, it's called flows basically, okay, drains into the Dead Sea. Now from where we are, as you look at the screen, on the west bank of this river, on the west bank of this river Jordan, you have a settlement of Palestinians. That's why it's called West Bank. That's it, nothing else. Okay. This is about 5.5 thousand square kilometers. This is about 365 square kilometers. Okay, and this is ruled by a militant group called Hamas, a terrorist group called Hamas. So the government of India more or less defines it as, the UN defines it. In fact, if you look at the United States, most global powers define Hamas as a terrorist organization. So Gaza is run by Hamas, whose chief is a guy called Ismail Hania. Ismail Hania is the chief of Hamas for now basically. Okay. Now West Bank is run by what is called the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority. Remember, it's called Palestinian Authority, but its control is only in the West Bank of Palestine. Okay. Now, Palestinian Authority is headed by Mahmoud Abbas. Mahmoud Abbas is about 84 years old. Mahmoud Abbas is the president of Palestine. You could say he's a Palestinian, president of Palestinian territories. So usually called Palestinian territories. So there are two Palestinian territories, Gaza and West Bank. Got it, guys? Now let me take you to the story behind the story. This is basic stuff. Let me clear this entire thing. In 1910s, in the middle of the First World War, in the middle of the Great War, the British had promised the Jews of Europe that they would get a homeland, a separate territory in what was then called Palestine. This entire area was called Palestine. This was all Palestine. Okay, right. So in 1917, forget about it. I will not tell you the exact year because it will only clutter the mind. So in this time there was a declaration called the Balfour Declaration. Under this, this was declared by the British. This was a policy announced by the British. It stated that a separate homeland for the Jews of Europe would be created. A separate homeland. Till then there were no Jews who had a homeland here. Okay. Now remember one thing, that Jew is the word Yahudi in Hindi. Jews practice Judaism. Judaism, Islam and Christianity are called Abrahamic religions. They are called Abrahamic. I don't know, because when I write like this, it's always confusing for me. Because I'm not tuned to that. I'm tuned to a board and chalk piece. Abrahamic religions. Okay, these are called Abrahamic religions because they have more or less the same prophets. You have Ibrahim. See, in Islam it's Ibrahim. In Judaism, Christian it's Abraham. So Abraham, Ibrahim, Jacob, Yaqub, Solomon, Suleiman, Jesus, Isa, Mary, Maryam, Solomon, Suleiman, Ismail. See, there's hardly any difference, isn't it? So these are also called, these three, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, are also called Kitabi Mazhab. They are monolithic religions. They believe in one God and they refute the existence of any other God. They say there is only one God and that's our God. If I belong to religion, let's say J here, I would say mine is only true God. If I were an I guy, I would say, mine is a true God. There is no other God. Okay, every other God is false. If I were the C guy here, I would say my God is the only true God. So monolithic, M-O-N-O, L-I-T-H-I, single stone basically. That's monolithic basically. You could say monotheism, people call it. Only one God. Hinduism is polytheism, that is multiple gods are there. So these are slightly different, these three faiths. Now, despite the fact that all these three have similar prophets and they were born in the same area, okay, they don't see eye to eye. Followers of these three faiths don't see eye to eye. No, in my talk, I will not take sides because I strongly believe that as your teacher, I should not take sides. And actually, I believe in the words of a very famous character in the Netflix series called blacklist, he says, in this world there are no sides, only players. So I'm a player. I don't take sides. Why would I bother about these guys here? I will bother about you and me, my country. Here, my countrymen. So let me take you here. So this is all Palestine, and over a long period of time, in the next 3 decades or so, Jews came. They began to escape from Europe. They began to escape especially from Europe. See, wherever Jews have been, historically they have been persecuted, by Christians and Muslims, both Christians and Muslims, because Christians hold them to be to be responsible for the crucifixion of Christ. There is a long story. Let's cut it out. And Jews have been at the receiving end of both Muslims and Christians treatment. So, and that between 1933 and 45, when Adolf Hitler ruled Germany, he targeted Jews, and in this 12-year period he killed about 61 lakh Jews. So they all began to escape, and they came to this part, what is today called Palestine. They were given some area here by the 1947-48 partition of Palestine happened, and some area was given to the Jews. The Palestinians didn't like it. So this area came to Jews, and they didn't like it. Remember, in 1948, Israel was created. The nation of Israel was born in 1948 in the name of Judaism. It's the world's only Jewish state. Jews said, this is our homeland. Muslims said, well, how can this be your homeland? This has been our homeland for ages. Jews said that, look, Islam is only 1400 years old, whereas Judaism is more than 3000 years old. Now, long before Muslims were there, we were there. That's what the Jews say. So there's never been peace on this particular thing. The Jews came first. Israel was established in 1948. Chalo. Now, in those days, the world, as you see this area, is Syria, Iraq, Jordan, didn't exist like they exist in this map. This was all this was all Jordan, Transjordan, it was called Transjordan. The Muslim countries in 1948 made an alliance. In this region, the Muslim countries made an alliance, attacked Israel. This is the first Arab-Israel war. 1948. In this war, not only did the new state of Israel defeat the Arab states, the coalition of Arab states, in fact, it gained more area. It took more area of Palestine. So it expanded its territory. It occupied more territory, that belonged to the Palestinians. Because Jews said that if we give it back, there is no guarantee that these guys will, behave sensibly, that they will not attack us again. So the more we push them out, the second more area we will have to protect ourselves. So 1948, they attacked, the Muslim countries attacked Israel, and Israel retaliated, defeated the Arab world. Okay. Now, again, there was a war in 1967. This is called the Six-Day War. This is the most defining war of, one of the most defining wars of the 20th century. The Six-Day War was again a result of an attack, attack with a war between Israel and Palestine, Israel and Arab countries. But remember one thing, before the Arab countries could attack Israel, that was the plan. Let's say they were to declare the war tomorrow, attack Israel tomorrow. Israel got news of its intelligence. The news, got intelligence info that tomorrow there will be a war, there will be an attack on us. So what Israel did was it preempted the attack. It launched a surprise attack against against Egypt. Now Egypt is this is Egypt. Okay, this is all Egypt. Egypt, my friends, was in those days the most prominent Muslim country, And what it did was that the Arabs were taken completely by surprise. In one attack, single attack, Israel destroyed 70% of Egyptian Air Force. The next 6 days saw the war happening between Israel and Palestine. Now Israel not only defeated the Muslim world, it occupied areas belonging to the enemy countries, to its enemy countries. Like for example, it occupied the whole of West Bank. It occupied, see this. This was earlier in the country of Jordan. Jordan used to run this. Now Israel occupied this West Bank. Yeah. This is Sinai Peninsula. It belongs to Egypt. This entire thing was occupied by Israel. Complete area. You see this area here, Golan Heights. This belongs to Syria, but Israel occupied it. And all this happened in a matter of 6 days. A tiny country. How big is Israel? If I have to give you some basic stuff, it's about 20,770 square kilometers. So tiny. Yeah, so tiny. But it defeated all these countries and occupied their lands. So this was the major war. I mean, it changed Israel. It not only defeated the Arab countries, broke their back, but also took their country, their territories. Even today, Israel has Golan Heights. Even today, West Bank is Palestinian. It has been separated, given independence. You could say independence. Yeah, Palestinian. This is Palestine now. West Bank. This is also Gaza. This is also Palestine. In 1977, Egypt and Israel signed a peace treaty wherein Egypt became the first major Arab country to recognize the state of Israel. Remember, 1977, that is almost 29, 30 years. Till then, no major Arab Muslim country had recognized Israel's right to exist. But Egypt did. And that changed a lot of dynamics in the region. Today, the things are slightly different. Maybe I'll tell this story again sometime later, but look at this. Israel is supported by the US, UAE, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. These are all one side. Europe in general, Europe. Typically, this is how it works. Palestine, supported by Iran. See the enemies of these countries: Qatar, Turkey. You could say, in part, basically, I wouldn't say Libya, because Libya is no longer a major power in this part of the world, but Iran. See this, Israel. This is Israel. This is Palestine. Now look at this. This is Lebanon. Lebanon has a militant group called Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a Shia militant group, and Iran is the biggest Shia country in the world. Saudi Arabia and the countries here are Sunni. So Sunnis and Shias don't see eye to eye. But Sunni Saudi Arabia hates Shia Iran. This is something you know. Shia Iran supports Shia Hezbollah. Syria's ruler is a Shia. Bashar al-Assad is a Shia, but majority of the country is Sunni. 74% of Syrian population is Sunni. Now, you need to understand something here, that while the population is predominantly Sunni and generally supports, generally is anti-Bashar, anti-Iran, but you also need to understand that the people don't have much power here, because of the dictatorship. This is Hezbollah Shia. The Syrian ruler Bashar is supported by Iran because he's a Shia. So Shia. It's religious sectarian helper. We mentioned Hamas here. Yes, in Gaza. Hamas is a terrorist group. Remember, it is supported. It's a Sunni terrorist group, but it is supported by Iran. It's supported by Iran. Now you may wonder, how is it that Sunni group is helped? Because very simple, Israel and Jordan, Israel and Saudi Arabia are friends. And Hamas supports one terrorist group in Egypt called the Islamic Brotherhood. Islamic Brotherhood. Remember, what is it? Islamic Brotherhood. Hamas supports Islamic Brotherhood. Turkey supports Islamic Brotherhood. And by supporting this terrorist group, Islamic Brotherhood, why I am saying terrorist? Because they are declared entities by the UN. Okay. Islamic Brotherhood is in Egypt, supported by Hamas. Both are Sunni. Iran, which is a Shia country, supports Hamas, which is Sunni. Now, Saudi Arabia is deeply afraid of the Islamic Brotherhood. The Islamic Brotherhood. This militant group says that there shall not be any monarchy in the Gulf area. All monarchies shall be replaced by countries that have Sharia law, the Muslim personal law. So it shall be the rule of God, but not the rule of any one single family in these countries. So historically, Saudi Arabia has been anti-Islamic Brotherhood. So Hamas, earlier used to get a lot of money from Saudi Arabia, but no longer it gets any money from Saudi Arabia. Okay, so this is a story. And Turkey supports Islamic Brotherhood. Islamic Brotherhood is anti-Saudi Arabian monarchy. So Turkey is anti-Saudi Arabian monarchy. This is the undercurrent. Though on the face they may say, oh, Saudi Arabia, we are friends and all. It's all another kind of bullshit. Okay. So this is a story. These kinds of people help each other. Now look at this. This particular conflict recently started with Hamas, firing rockets from Gaza into Israel. Now, Israel has one of the world's most sophisticated defense network systems. Okay, one of the most sophisticated, technologically advanced defense systems. It has what is called the Iron Dome missile interceptor, rocket interceptor. So, whenever rockets are fired from Gaza, these missiles from the rocket interceptors from Iron Dome intercept them and blast them in the air itself before they reach. So out of 3,000 rockets that have been launched by Hamas recently in the recent call, just about 180 or something, fell on Israeli territory. The rest were all intercepted in the sky itself. So it's so efficient is the system. India is buying this system. India is looking at buying this thing. Now, so Hamas, of course, there is a lot of reasons as to why this is happening, but Hamas started, firing rockets into Israel, and the Israelis have not relented, my friends. It's a very tiny place. There's a COVID emergency in this place in Hamas. There is no money because Israel has blockaded the entire area. You see this? Israel has blocked this entire area. Okay, this entire area has been blocked by Israel, and no goods can come into Palestine. See, when Israel says we understand that goods cannot come from outside, but goods are able to move from Israel into Gaza now. But when this is open, the sea route is open, a lot of weapons come into Gaza from outside. That's a major issue. That's a major issue. So today, Hamas is waging a war against Israel. It cannot win. No war has been won by Hamas, but it, on the other side, it only leads to a lot of pain for the people of Palestine. So Israel doesn't care. You can understand that. But shouldn't the people of Gaza, shouldn't the rulers of Gaza care for their own people? That's something that they should understand. But then peace has its own cost. Power, religion, because Hamas, Bashar al-Assad of Syria, Hezbollah of Lebanon and Iran do not recognize the state of Israel's right to exist. These four entities, Hamas, Hezbollah, Shia militant group in Lebanon, President of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, Iran, all four do not recognize the state of Israel's right to existence. They say Israel shall not exist. We will destroy the state of Israel and wipe it off the map of the world. That's what they say. Okay, so this is the story. I cut it. Essentially, it's a very long story. So that's a thing happening. So Hamas runs the show in Gaza, West Bank, Palestinian Authority, but West Palestinian Authority is quite weak. Okay, quite weak. If you really want to know how this works at the ground level, there are a lot of series you can watch. Israel-Palestine relations ke upar, if you really want to see, I will not take sides, but you can watch on Netflix The Spy. You can watch a movie called Munich. I don't know which platform you will find. Munich. These are all real things. Okay, Spy, Munich are all real stories. You can also find The Angel. The Angel. You can also watch a Netflix series called Father. It would tell you 3 seasons. It would tell you day-to-day happenings in Israel-Palestine. How the Israeli security forces tackle terrorist attacks from Palestine. Watch it. It's nice, really nice. This is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg, and these are all real stories. All of them real stories. Good stuff. Okay. That's about it. Of course, now Sinai Peninsula has been given back by, long back it was given back, long ago it was given back to Egypt. So Egypt runs this. So Gaza, you can see one last thing is in Gaza is surrounded on all sides by Israel, on 3 sides by north, it's south, southwest, southeast, is surrounded by Israel. But here you see this small boundary here with Israel, with Egypt. Earlier, there are underground tunnels here, and these tunnels could bring these people here. But of late, the Egyptian president, has been supportive of Israel. He is pro-Israel. Why? Because it's all money. It's all money. Israel supports the current ruler of Egypt. His name is Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. I'll tell you one short, simple thing. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Okay, this guy is the current president. Al-Sisi. Before him, there was a guy called Mohammed Morsi. Mohammed Morsi. He was a member of the Islamic Brotherhood. Okay, the Islamic Brotherhood launched a political wing, and he won the election, and he became the president. Under his presidency, a lot of things began to go bad for Israel and Saudi Arabia. So the Saudi Arabians, because of their innate fear of Islamic Brotherhood, what they did was they pushed Israel and America to ensure that Morsi is thrown out. And yes, Morsi was thrown out. Morsi was thrown out in the military coup led by Abdel Fattah, and Morsi is now in jail for charges of terrorism, and all that. If you think it's religion, it's not religion. It's all politics. It's all politics. Okay. Who is the new CEO of the National Asset Reconstruction Company, a proposed entity for taking over bad loans of lenders, predominantly public sector banks? Okay, Padma Kumar Nair. So I'm going to tell you about this National Asset Reconstruction Company. Please write this. I'm going to give you a short note on this. These things help you a lot. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this is a kind of a bad bank. What is it called? Bad bank. B-A-D. Bad bank. Please write. Subheading: bad bank. Bad bank. Dash, underline that first point. A financial institution that takes over bad assets, bad assets of lenders and undertake their resolution, 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 full stop. In case of, second point, in case of NARCL, you can write the full form, NARCL, National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. NARCL, in case of NARCL, it will pay up to it will pay up to 15% of agreed value, agreed, AGREED. I'll explain the entire thing. Agreed value for the loans, agreed value for the loans in cash, and the remaining 85%, and the remaining 85% would be, government guaranteed security receipts, full stop. In case of NARCL, it will pay up to 15% of agreed value for the loans in cash, and the remaining 85% would be government guaranteed security receipts. Okay, I'll explain this. Next point. Loans classified as frauds. Loans classified as frauds, 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 cannot be sold to NARCL. Full stop. Next point. As of March 2020, this is the latest data we have. Okay, as of March 2020, the RBI had classified rupees 1.9 lakh crore, rupees 1.9 lakh crore of loans as frauds, full stop. Last point. As per the RBI, that is, RBI says, as per the RBI, NPAs, non-performing assets, NPAs of banking sector are projected to rise, to 13.5% of advances by September 2021, up from 7.5% in September 2020. So as per, let me repeat, as per RBI, the NPAs of the banking sector are likely to surge to 13.5% of advances by September 2021, up from 7.5% by September, 7.5% in September 2020. Full stop. Okay, now banks in India have a lot of bad debts, NPAs, non-performing assets. Money they have lent is not coming back to them, and this is on their books, which impacts their bottom line, their profits and everything else. So the government of India has said that in the last budget, they mentioned, the government of India had mentioned that we would create a bad bank which would buy loans, NPAs of all the banks, okay, it would buy. Let's say 100 rupees, they would buy, that 15%, 15 rupees will be given to upfront in cash. 85% will be government guaranteed receipt, securities receipt, which would be paid in the future. So for every 100 rupees, 15% percent will come in cash to the bank which had lent the money. So think this. First, what happens is that money is transferred, the loan, 100 rupees loan is transferred to NARCL. This loan the bad loan does not appear in the books of accounts. So the books of accounts of the public sector bank are clean. Books are clean. No loans that have gone bad. Plus they get 15 rupees for every bad loan. Okay. Now, this also helps it generate profit. More profit means it can give a better dividend to the government. Its share price goes up, and of course it's good news all around. But you need to understand that while this sounds good, it would need, this NARCL would be quite hard pressed to collect all the money. So how much is, total advances would be about, as of today, 7.5% that have gone bad. But I think I can tell you conservatively, last September, that is 2020, out of 100%, let's say 100 rupees loan, 7.5 rupees had gone bad. Okay, is not going to come back to the bank. So it's lost at 7.5 rupees. Now it's likely to go up to 13.5%. So for every 100 rupees the bank had lent, 13.5 rupees will not come it back to it. In fact, if the second wave continues like this for another 1 month or so, this number of 13.5% will likely go up to 14.8%. This is what the RBI says, 14.8%, take 15%. So it's loss and loss for the public sector bank if things continue to go bad. But you need to understand that any loan which has been classified as a fraud, a lot of loans are frauds. People borrow money all the time and don't have any intention of paying. So one way of frauds is, if let's say I'm eligible for a loan of 40 lakh rupees, 40 lakh. But I enter into a deal with a crook. Okay, a crook who is a loan agent. I don't go to a bank. This guy says, sir, I can get you a loan of 2 crores. I said, how will you get me a loan of 2 crores? I have X income. On basis of X income, I can get a personal loan of 40 lakhs only, not beyond that. The guy says 40, I'll get you 2 crores. That is 5 times that your loan thing. At the same time, I will charge 2% commission, sir. So 2 crores, 4 lakh rupees will be his money. Okay. So I say that, okay, that's not an issue because I get, that much money. So what I do is, this guy takes application from me, 5 multiple applications, 5 different applications, 5 different banks. And he would have his own agents, his banks, everything. He would give, he would ensure that all the 5 loans are entered into the system at the same time. Because what happens is, if I have put in an application now and I put in application another bank yesterday, it would show that I have already asked for a loan of a similar amount with another bank. So this bank will say, no sir, you already applied there, we will not give you another one. But what is happening here? All at 11 o'clock they are entered, and 11 o'clock there is no other account. You understand that? So at the same time this login happens, and what happens is that I get a loan of 2 crores. This is a common practice. Now, if I don't have any intention of repaying, it's 2 crores. I give 4 lakhs to that guy, still it's 1.96 crores. Isn't it? And this is fraud. This happens all the time. It happens all the time. Okay. Look at choices. SS Mallikarjun Rao. He is the CEO of Punjab National Bank. Punjab National Bank. CEO of Punjab National Bank. SS Mallikarjun Rao. Sanjeev Chadha, Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda. Choice 3, Padmaja Chunduru. Padmaja Chunduru. Indian Bank. Indian Bank. And look at choice 4, Dinesh Khara. Dinesh Khara is the CEO of, is the chairman of, what is that? State Bank of India. State Bank of India. Yeah. The central government in consultation with the RBI not has cells, it should be cells. I'm so sorry, there's a mistake here. Sells sovereign gold bonds. These sovereign gold bonds are sold through, all of them actually. So I'm going to give you some notes on this, right? So I like to give notes because you need to have something as a takeaway. What we listen to, and then what we write, and then what we read, what we write, we tend to remember better. Remember always, what we write, we tend to remember better than what we just read. Okay, so please write. Sovereign gold bonds, SGB, sovereign gold bonds, underline that. First point, government securities denominated in grams of gold, dash, continue, dash is a long hyphen. Substitute for investment, in physical gold, full stop. Okay, next point. These we'll do one thing, we'll avoid words like these, they and all that. Okay, simple, we know what are we writing about, right? Next point, bears fixed rate of interest at 2.5% per annum. 2.5% per annum. Okay, next. Interest is credited. Next point, interest is credited semi-annually to investors bank account, and the last installment of interest is paid last installment of interest is paid along with the principal. Next, investors earn returns linked to market price of gold. Last one. Okay, why not? Why last? A little more we write. Minimum investment 1 gram. Maximum investment 4 kgs for both What is that for both? Uh, individuals and Hindu undivided families. Hindu undivided families, comma, while it is 20 kgs 20 kgs for trust, legally recognized trust, okay, for trust. So if you want to buy gold, this is a good option. Okay, last point you could write. Available in both demat, and paper form. Okay, cool. So this is how it works, my friends. So this is a very good way of buying things. See, the minimum guarantee is 2.5%, and other than that, whatever change in price, let's say today's gold price is 4,800 rupees per gram. The minimum age is 8 years for this bond, typically 8-year bond, and if it, let's say, 8 years later, the price is, let's say, 5,500. So 700 rupees is your gain per gram. The 700 rupees will be yours. Plus the government gives a minimum guarantee of 2.5% interest, which is a good thing. And plus the exemption, I think there is an exemption on the redemption also. Once you sell these bonds at the right time, after on the redemption, I think they are tax free. I'm not very sure of this, but I think they are. Good way of investing. In fact, physical gold is always a danger thing. There is always a risk to keep it at home and all that. But if you put it in, you buy it in electronic form, it's always a good thing. You never lose it. It's already there. It's there everywhere on any cloud account, and you can have a demat account and you can put it there. Okay, you will never lose it. The International Nurses Day is observed on 12th May to highlight the contribution of nurses. The theme for 2021 is, well, there we go. A voice to lead, a vision for future healthcare. Okay. We'll do one thing, May 12th. So we'll take some days in May and write about what they're famous for. Okay, something about them. So May 1st, Labor Day. May 1st. So for every bit of information, try to put some symbol like this. I am a great believer in this symbols. May 1st, Labor Day, like this. Okay, yeah. May 3rd, Press Freedom Day. Press Freedom Day. May 3rd, Press Freedom Day. May 4th, Coal Miners Day. Coal Miners Day. Okay. These also Firefighters Day. If you want to write Firefighters Day, we are celebrating each fighter, each miner. So okay. Next. Oh, this is 4th year. 5th, 6th, 8th, May 8th, Red Cross Day. International Red Cross Day. Next, this is May 12th now. May 11th, National Technology Day. Then May 12th, Nurses Day. May 12th, International Nurses Day. Next, May 15th. Family Day. Family Day. Sometimes it's called International Day of the Family, which is same day. Family Day or Day of the Family is one of the same. Now, next, May 17th. Telecommunications Day. Telecommunications Day. May 21st, the day of the class. Okay. Anti-terrorism Day. Anti-terrorism Day. Anti-terrorism Day. This is the day on which in 1991 Rajiv Gandhi was killed. Yeah. So May 21st, anti-terrorism day. May 22nd, we'll take two more. May 22nd, Biodiversity Day. Biological diversity or Biodiversity Day. So the last one, May 31st. What is that? No tobacco. No tobacco or anti-tobacco day. No tobacco or anti-tobacco day. Oh. The book titled The Elephant in the Womb, The Bee is Silent, has been penned by actor Kalki Koechlin. I was reading about her, and on her Wikipedia entry, the page on her in Wikipedia, I found something very interesting. It is Kalki who had written, most likely, the article on herself, on her, and she has also given the pronunciation, okay, after her name. So if you click on her, the phone, the mic sound, the symbol, you will get the pronunciation. You can hear her speak, talking about her name and where was she born and all that. Hi, I am Kalki Koechlin. Kalki Koechlin. I was born in Puducherry or Pondicherry, basically, to French parents actually. So that's where otherwise earlier I used to read it as Kalki Koechlin. Now it's Koechlin, okay, Koechlin or Koechlin. Lan is French. Lan, Koechlin. Relax. Say Kalki. Enough. This is a book about her pregnancy, about very personal depiction of what a person goes through, during pregnancy. That's what the book is about. That's it, nothing else. Let's not discuss this stuff. Padma Vibhushan awardee Indu Jain passed away recently due to COVID-related complications. She was the chairperson of the Times Group. Now, Times Group is not Times Group. If you do not know the name of this company, it will be tough. So please write Bennett, Coleman and Company. Bennett, Coleman and Company. This is the actual name of the company. Bennett, Coleman. Bennett Coleman. This company owns Filmfare, Times of India, Now Bharat Times, all that stuff, Economic Times and all that. So they are also partner in Times Now channel. They are a dominant partner in Times Now channel, which is a partnership with this company called Reuters. Reuters. Reuters is financial data services and news gathering agency, and they have a partnership with those guys. What is that? G Entertainment Enterprises, Z TV. It's part of what is called the SL Group. SL Group. Its CEO is a guy called Punit Goenka. Punit Goenka. Z CEO is Punit Goenka. This company was started by Subhash Chandra. So Z Entertainment is owned by SL Group, which is started by Subhash Chandra. He went into very troubled times recently because of the fall in the stock prices and a lot of bad decisions. So SL Group owned by Subhash Chandra. Puneet Goenka is the CEO. Okay, look at the Hindu Group. This is a paper that a lot of people read. I don't read. I read, but I don't follow it. It is owned by Kasturi Iyer and Sons, so I will not discuss the name of the company. The Hindu newspaper, the editor of the Hindu newspaper is a guy called Suresh Nambat. Suresh Nambat. And you should know, my friends, that's a hardcore communist paper. It's a hardcore communist paper. They are seriously anti-BJP, anti-RSS, anti, what do they call, Hindutva and all that stuff. They are typically pro-minority religious groups. That's how the Hindu group is. They always try to bring down the government. In fact, even when the Supreme Court had said, categorically said that there is no kickback or bribe paid in the Rafale deal, they persisted, they persisted with that. And later they published, after the judgment had come, look, this is, this recent documents have been declassified of the French government, and so this talks of bribe. Please understand that document talks of bribe or anything over this deal pre-2014, before the BJP government had come in power. Okay, so it was actually, the Hindu group was in some other sense, I think, I don't know what they were thinking. They wanted to expose the BJP government, but they ended up exposing the UPA, the Congress-led UPA. So anyway, this is a hardcore communist newspaper. Times Group we know, and Network 18 is owned by Mukesh Ambani's company. It's owned by Mukesh Ambani. Okay, Network 18. It was once upon a time owned by Raghav Behel and two of his friends, but now it's owned by Mukesh Ambani. And TV 18. TV 18? Yeah. You must be familiar with Den. Yeah, Hathway. Cable companies, internet service providers. You must be familiar with Viacom 18. They are a partner. They have joint, ETV. They own ETV. Money Control. Yes, Money Control is owned by them. Moneycontrol.com. First Post is another newspaper they own. It's a website, news website. They own joint ventures with this News 18. CNN News 18, it's CNN News, yeah, it is owned by them. They have a joint venture with CNN, they have a joint venture with CNBC, yeah, you understand this? They are all joint ventures basically. Very, very powerful chaps. And Network 18 CEO is Rahul Joshi. Rahul Joshi is the CEO, is the owner. Dainik Jagran is owned by, I think it is India's biggest selling newspaper. Okay, and it is owned by Jagran Prakashan. Jagran Prakashan. Very, very popular newspaper. Jagran Prakashan, and its CEO is Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay Gupta. Okay. You must be familiar with this newspaper called Midday. Midday. It's published from Bombay, typically. Bombay, Dainik Jagran, that is Jagran Prakashan, owns Midday. If you are familiar with Radio City 91.1 FM, it's owned by Jagran Prakashan. See, look around. All these media channels and everything are completely controlled by powerful people, powerful families. They run the show. Small handful of families run the show. If you look at, Mukesh Ambani, we said Network 18. Now imagine, they own 20 channels in 15 languages. Yeah, look at, they control what we hear, what we read. Yeah, And these are television channels. I'm talking about the websites. Think of the websites, think of other mediums. And Hindustan Times. Hindustan Times is owned by Shobana Bhartiya. Shobana Bhartiya's son is married to the niece of Mukesh Ambani. Okay, I mean, look, everything is controlled by these guys. I'm not blaming. I'm saying we should be careful about what we tend to read and remember. Like, for example, I mentioned the Hindu group. I never ever believe whatever they say is the truth. Just like I don't believe everything that when I read something like Times of India, Indian Express, New Indian Express, I don't believe everything is true. I mean, anything is true. There is always this another version of truth. There's a wall here, but what's in fact, here in front of me, you don't know. You see what you are made to see. I can select the facts and manipulate the truth. That's how it is. Yes. With state government recently joined the global COVAX alliance, claimed to the first in India to procure COVID-19 vaccines. Punjab did that, and I want you to write what is COVAX. Then I will tell you what is this map about. Okay, please write COVAX. Underline that. Full form of COVAX. COVID-19 vaccines global access. That's how the name comes. COVID vaccine global access. Next, joint venture between. So it's not one particular entity, it's coming together of certain entities. What is that? Joint venture of one, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. This is the full name. Okay, please know this. This is the full name. Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Earlier it was called something else. It was called Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. They changed the name to Gavi. They simply call it Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. And number two, first is Gavi. Number two, CEPI. Dash sent coalition for epidemic preparedness and innovation. I think preparedness, innovation. And number three, WHO. Number three, WHO. You know what's WHO? World Health Organization. So, okay, now next point. Top three contributors to COVAX are top three money contributors, donors. COVAX are: one, USA. They have given away $1.5 billion. Do you know that? No, not one. The earliest one, it's 2.5. Because earlier they had promised 1.5. Now they are giving $2.5 billion. Okay. One, US, $2.5 billion. Two, Germany, $1 billion. $1 billion. Three, UK, $735 million. Last point. Alliance of 165 nations. Alliance of 165 nations. Last point. AMC. Write in caps. AMC dash. Advanced market commitment. Advanced market commitment. So these are countries that have announced this. See this. Some countries can't afford. Some countries can afford. Some countries can be donors. Some countries can be recipients. Yes, vaccines and all. Look at this. US is a donor. So is Iceland a donor. Okay. I'm talking of vaccine donors. Okay. Look at this here. Only one country is both a recipient and a donor. That's India. See the color. India is both a recipient and donor of vaccines. So only country in the world to be like that. Whereas a lot of countries, some countries, very few countries are just donors. Whereas a majority of countries are recipients. Okay? Yeah. China is self-financing. It is not importing any, no, it's not importing any vaccines. It is using its own vaccines, and its vaccines have not been greatly efficacious, because if you look at the UAE experiment, United Arab Emirates experience, they have given 2 doses of Sinopharm COVID vaccine, but there have been a rise in cases, and now they are talking about giving a 3rd booster dose. Yeah, that's how it is. Okay, things are quite different. So you see, when you read that India has given away vaccines and everything, we have to give, because we are a part of the COVAX alliance. It's not something that we were doing charity. It's that we had to give, because we are the producers of those vaccines. Okay, only one is indigenous. Bharat Biotech's Covaxin is indigenous. Covishield, though manufactured in India, the formula comes from Britain, which, where there is this University of Oxford, and the British company AstraZeneca came up with this formula. $1 billion, manufacturing has been outsourced to Serum Institute of India, which is in Pune. Okay. Which Indian state has the maximum number of major ports? Well, Tamil Nadu. Actually, the major ports, there are 12 major ports in India. You could write this. 12 major ports in India. 12. We'll do one thing. We'll take a route. Okay. We'll start with West India. West Coast. 1. Deen Dayal Upadhyay or Deen Dayal Port. Deen Dayal Port, Kandla. We'll write the names of all the 12 ports. See, I want to give you that number, because see, if I give you only, okay, Tamil Nadu has 3 major ports, 3 are A, B, C. It doesn't make sense, no? I'm here to give, to share my learning. If I don't share that learning, I may not as well be here. Okay? Number 2. Mumbai. In Mumbai, there is Mumbai Port Trust. Mumbai Port Trust. Mumbai. 3. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. Mumbai. So Mumbai has 2. 2. Mumbai Port Trust. Mumbai. 3. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. Mumbai. 4. Mormugao, which is in Goa. 5. New Mangaluru, which is in Karnataka. Must have heard of Mangalore, same place. Karnataka. 6. New Mangaluru, Karnataka. 6 is Kochi, Kerala. So you've got all 6 on the west coast. Now on the east coast there are 6 as. Okay. Chalo, let's clear this now. East Coast. Shall we start at the bottom, because we from top to bottom we came, so we'll take a U-turn. Okay, what is that? V.O. Chidambaram. Okay, I am not very sure how do they pronounce it actually here, because no, it is not Chidambaram. Yeah, I know Chidambaram, but this is slightly different. Where is this? This is in Tuticorin. Tuticorin, down south. It's also called Pearl City. So 1 V.O. Chidambaram, Tuticorin. 2 Madras Port Trust, Chennai, or you can also call it Chennai Port Trust. 3 Kamarajar Port, where is this? Just 34 kilometers north of Chennai. You have Ennore. Then we have a place called Vishakhapatnam. Andhra Pradesh. Okay, just write it here. 5 Paradeep, Odisha. 6 Haldia or Shama Prasad Mukherjee. I am writing the old spelling of Mukherjee. Mukherjee, Kolkata. Shama Prasad Mukherjee Port, Kolkata. Mukherjee Port, P-O-R-T, Port, Kolkata. Chali. Japanese internet giant Softbank has formed an alliance with OneWeb to expand its low Earth orbit broadband services in Japan and worldwide. OneWeb is backed by Sunil Mittal. Sunil Mittal is the chairman of Bharti Airtel Group. If you read his story, is how he spent his initial days and everything, you'll be wonderstruck. He once said that when he used to sell this, landline phones and everything, after importing them from Taiwan and all, he used to go around small towns hitchhiking a ride by trucks and everything, so that he could save some money. And he would also stay in dharamshalas and all that, so that he could save money on hotels and all that. And today he's a multi-billionaire. It's hard work, my friends. It's a hard work, lot of learning. Sunil Bharti Mittal, chairman of Bharti Airtel. This is Ajim Premji, chairman emeritus of Wipro Group. Mukesh Ambani, as you know, is the chairman of Reliance Industries Group. Gautam Adani, chairman of Adani Group. Shivnadar, chairman emeritus of HCL Tech. You could also write Shivnadar, the father of India's computer industry. Father of India's computer industry. He started HCL, Hindustan Computers Limited, in the late 1970s. That's why he's called the pioneer of India's computer industry. Now, when we talk of Softbank, Softbank is a major investor in a lot of companies around the world. Softbank is a Japanese company headquartered in Tokyo. Its CEO, its chairman is a guy called Masayoshi Son. He is the chairman. Masayoshi Son. Okay. So This is a majority, it has, invested about, you see, Paytm, if you look at Indian companies, Paytm, 20% of Paytm is owned by this man. Ola? Yes, about 30% is owned by this guy. You have heard of a company called, tech company called Inmobi? Yes, it's owned by, 45% of shares are owned by this man. Okay. And if you look at, Uber also, they own substantial shareholding in Uber, 15% of Uber. Then, you must have heard of a company called Alibaba Group. Alibaba is a Chinese company, but he is a majority, 29.5% shares are owned by Masayoshi Son's Softbank. Think of this. Softbank, a Japanese company, owns about 30% of Alibaba Group. Okay. Yahoo, they own about 30% of Yahoo as well, 28% of Yahoo. So, these are not ordinary companies. This is pretty big company. And if you look at, one more. You have heard of a very famous company called Snapdeal. 30% of shares of Snapdeal capital has been contributed by SoftBank, 30%. So it's a very big investor in India as well. So, which nation recently chaired the first BRICS Employment Working Group meeting in a virtual format? BRICS, there are only 5 countries now. India. I think we've been discussing this quite often. So, but anyway, I'll tell you that chairman. See, the term BRIC, there was no BRICS. Okay. The term BRIC was coined by a Goldman Sachs executive called Jim O'Neill. He worked as a vice president in those days for a company called, it's an investment bank and investment banking firm called Goldman Sachs. He came out with a paper in 2001, and in that paper he said that 4 countries, the 4 BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, will contribute to 50% of the world's GDP in 2050. Things are different now. Things will be different because 2001 and now are quite different. 20 years is a very long time, isn't it? Some of you would know that 20 years earlier you were an infant. Some of you would say that 20 years back you were about 3-4 years old, and 20 years back I started working for time. So it's a long time. Yeah. So Goldman Sachs term called BRIC coined by Jim O'Neill. China, we know all about China. I think this is Beijing capital. President, I'll give you the name of the Prime Minister. Li Keqiang is the PM. Currency is renminbi yuan. That is it. Next. South Africa, 3 capitals: Cape Town, Pretoria, Bloemfontein. Okay. President Cyril Ramaphosa. Currency rand. Okay. Yeah. Brasilia. Jair Bolsonaro. President. Currency real. Russia, Moscow. More importantly, the Prime Minister is Mikhail Mishustin. Is the Prime Minister. Okay. Currency is ruble. The President, Putin, no? Yeah. Which payments bank recently launched a digital platform named DigiGold for its customers to make investments in gold in partnership with the digital gold provider SafeGold? It's pretty much the same thing as, a version of SGB, Sovereign Gold Bond. Airtel Payments Bank. Okay, they are all payments bank, and I'll give you the name of the CEO of this Fino Payments Bank, which is a Mumbai-based bank. Rishi Ghosh. Rishi Gupta, yeah. No, Rishi Ghosh is my student. Yeah, Rishi Gupta. Rishi Gupta. No, Rishi Ghosh. When I said he's my student, actually, it's Rishi Gupta. Sometimes, you know. Geo Payments Bank. H. Sri Krishnan. We discussed payments bank and small finance banks in the past, so let's not repeat. The RBI has cancelled the license of United Cooperative Bank over inadequate capital and regulatory non-compliance. United Cooperative Bank is in Bagnan, West Bengal. Oh, this bank, I was reading about this, and not adequate money with the bank to pay off the depositors and everything. But the RBI has categorically stated that because most of the depositors, almost everyone, each one of the depositors is a small depositor, which means their money is safe, which means under the new Government of India rules, under the DICGC rules, all the money will be returned to the depositors. All money up to, all deposits up to rupees 5 lakh are insured, and this 5 lakh, I know, so all the depositors will get back their money. You know this Thrissur, this is called at one point it was called the banking capital of India. At one point, banking town or banking capital of India. You know, it is home to a lot of banks. You must be familiar with this bank called South Indian Bank. South Indian Bank. Then you must be familiar with Catholic Syrian Bank. There is a small finance bank called ISAF. ISAF. Small finance bank, it comes from here. Manappuram Gold Company, yes, Manappuram Gold, it's pronounced Manappuram Gold Finance, it comes from Thrissur. Okay, so I mean, you can learn a lot of good things. I just need to be interested in these things. Dhanlakshmi Bank is one bank from Thrissur, Kerala. Okay. Okay, World Rugby has confirmed that the Women's Rugby World Cup will be played in New Zealand, October 2020. This is Women's World Cup, and Men's World Cup. Okay, we'll do one thing. For football there is FIFA. For rugby, it is World Rugby. The top organization is called World Rugby. It's headquartered in a place called Dublin, which you know is the capital of Ireland. Dublin is the capital of Ireland. Okay, and its chairman is a guy called Bill Bowman. I remember this name. I don't know why, but I remember it. Bill Bowman is the chairman of World Rugby. So 2021 Women's World Cup rugby, Women's Rugby 2021 World Cup. Okay, now 2023 Men's Rugby World Cup, Men's Rugby World Cup will be held in France. Okay. I think we'll take one more question before we rush to 1.5 hours. According to the World Bank report, which country at $68 billion recorded the biggest outflow of remittances in 2020? United States. Outflow. Money went from United States to other parts of the world. So United States. Remittance is the money that is sent back home. Let's say you have an uncle in Saudi Arabia, the money is sent home. That's called remittance. Okay, there is something called inward remittance, outward remittance. For Saudi Arabia, it's outward. For us, it's inward. So, top three with remittance outflows. One would be United States, about $68 billion. I'll take a round figure. Okay, $68 billion. Number two is United Arab Emirates, $43 billion. So when I say 43, it could be 43, between 43 and 44. So I'll take the lower end if it's less than 0.5. 3 is Saudi Arabia, 34.5, so I'll make it 35. 35. Okay. So all this money came from these countries to two different parts of the world. Yeah. According to World Bank report, which country received the highest inflow? $83 billion, which is just 0.2% less than what it received last year. India. So India received more or less a similar amount in 2019 also. So 2020, things are bad, but still people sent back money home because things were bad at home. Economy, lockdown, much one issue. Top 3 in the, you could write top 3 nations with remittance inflows. Top 3 nations with remittance inflows. Okay. Remittance inflows. 1, India. We know this, 83, take round figure, 83. 2, China, 60, it's 59.5, I'll make it 60, better. 3, Mexico, 43. We'll end the class here, guys, because we have had a very long discussion and it's running into 1.5 hours. So it's something that we should not go beyond that. Okay, we'll keep discussing things, we'll keep focusing on things that matter, my friends. Thanks for being here. Have a lot of fun, stay curious, and please share your feedback with us as to how things went in this class. And I would also ask you to stay curious, stay safe, if possible get vaccinated. Thank you for being here.